Hello, I'm Wish Wei-ching from Sally's Book Club. It's our weekly editor's recommendation, and we meet again. A few days ago, on World Sleep Day, sleep disorders were trending again. According to media reports, about one-third of people worldwide have sleep problems, and in China, over 300 million people suffer from sleep disorders, with young people facing bigger issues. For example, 84% of the post-90s generation have sleep troubles, and one-third of them don't fall asleep until 1 a.m. Fast-paced life, huge work pressure, complex interpersonal relationships. These unavoidable things are squeezing sleep away from us. I think many people have experienced the pain of insomnia, lying in bed with eyes open, staring blankly at the ceiling, things that happen during the day, accompanied by disappointment, anger, anxiety, replaying your mind scene by scene. You try every way to empty your mind, to drive away those emotions and thoughts, but the more you rush and try, the more irritable you become and the harder it is to sleep. So, what to do? We at Sally's Book Club previously introduced the book Why We Sleep. Its author is the sleep coach for David Beckham and Cristiano Ronaldo. In the book, he addresses specific questions like whether you need to sleep 8 hours and what to do if you can't sleep. He provides many practical tips to help us fall asleep. If you're interested, you can click the link in the transcript area below the audio to go directly to Why We Sleep. Remember to listen during the day and try it at night. Beyond practical tips, next week we'll recommend 6 more books for you. And they can not only help you sleep well at night, but also solve problems during the day. Because the causes of sleep disorders are often deep-rooted. As I mentioned earlier, not being able to sleep at night might be due to something that happened during the day, like making a mistake at work, getting scolded by your boss, or arguing with a friend. You're angry, sad, and confused, wondering why this happened. Why did it have to be this way? By the time bedtime comes, these emotions still linger, so naturally, you can't sleep. So on Monday, we'll listen to Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy. The author of this book is the psychology master Albert Ellis. Former U.S. President George W. Bush and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton are his devoted fans. Ellis believes that unhealthy emotions not only bring immense psychological pressure, but also cause various chain reactions in life. Finally, a simple problem snowballs into a big one, but with rational thinking and patience, everyone can become the master of their emotions. After discussing emotional management, on Tuesday, we'll talk about how to improve focus. Attention is the scarcest resource in modern society. Whether at work or study, there are just too many distractions around us. Take me, for example. When I'm reviewing a draft, colleagues and writers always chat with me intermittently. They raise questions, making concentration difficult. Unfinished daytime work forces late nights. Even when going to bed on time, the post-overtime line stays excited, unable to fall asleep quickly. If we faced fewer distractions during daytime, work efficiency would improve, reducing overtime and late nights. Tuesday's book is called Focus. It starts with how attention works, helping you systematically beat distractions and concentrate on important tasks. Hearing this, you might say, my overtime isn't due to inefficiency, but poor company management. For instance, a simple approval process becomes as tedious and smelly as an old woman's foot-binding cloth, requiring constant appeasement. The boss promotes overtime culture. Work finished, but I still can't leave. Colleagues distrust each other, shifting blame when issues arise. Work hours get wasted on finger-pointing and arguments. I alone can't hold up the collapsing roof. So Wednesday, we'll explore top-tier management. The book, First Break All the Rules, comes from Gallup Consultants, who uncovered unconventional thinking through global research. This book isn't just for managers, it offers valuable insights for regular employees too. For example, what dimensions determine if a company provides good work environment? What leaders deserve following? How should companies design career paths for employees? On Wednesday, let's shatter conventions together. Of course, what keeps us awake might not just be daily trivialities, but also longing for poetic dreams and distant horizons. Recently, I discussed with post 70s and post 90s friends, what kind of life do you want? Surprisingly, several friends said they want to be a cat, basking in the sun every day. But some want to do it by the Mediterranean, others on Mount Wa. Many of us study, find a job after graduation, then get married and have kids at the so-called right age. It all seems natural, but is this really what we want? Where does the meaning of life lie? Over 70 years ago, the British writer Somerset Maugham was pondering this question. In 1944, he published the novel The Razor's Edge. The title comes from a line in the Hindu Upanishads. The sharp edge of a razor is hard to cross. The wise say the path to salvation is rare. It means that the razor's edge is extremely sharp, and it's very difficult for a person to cross from one side to the other. So wise people say that those who can be saved are very few. So on Thursday, we'll listen to Maugham's story, The Razor's Edge. In the novel, he created a young man named Larry who abandoned conventional life. He traveled seeking truth, wanting to master real wisdom. His fiancée asked him, "After you gain this wisdom, what will you use it for?" Larry replied, "If I have wisdom, I'll naturally know what to do with it." Maugham wanted to tell those who aspire to transcend the ordinary through Larry's story that crossing the razor's edge is hard, but if you don't dare to try because of that, if you never challenge that thin razor's edge, you might never see the scenery on the other side of life. And in our lives, besides this razor's edge, there is also the unbearable lightness of being. The book we'll listen to on Friday is The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Czech writer Milan Kundera. It was named one of the greatest novels of the 20th century by the New York Times. What is lightness? A person working day after day in the same routine. This life has become too smooth, too habitual. This state is a kind of lightness. But one day he might suddenly ask, why am I doing this? Is my life just like duckweed? When you ask this question, the ease of day-to-day life becomes an unbearable lightness. At this point, you need to start transitioning between lightness and heaviness. Kundera, through his novel, he tells us that heaviness is a belief, a guarding of fundamental values. It's bearing life's weight and giving meaning to existence. Finally, let's embrace the Buddhist spirit one last time. This Saturday's recommended book is Siddhartha. This is the masterpiece by German novelist Hermann Hesse, winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. The protagonist Siddhartha's name comes from Siddhartha Gautama, the founder of Buddhism, whom we know as Sakya Muni, also called Buddha. In the novel, Hesse splits Siddhartha Gautama's name into two characters. Gautama is the Buddha, while the protagonist Siddhartha is an unenlightened man who embarks on a long, arduous spiritual journey and eventually becomes a Buddha himself. The novel's essence isn't about spreading Buddhist doctrines nor rewriting Sakyamuni's biography. It's a story about how humans seek wisdom. The story's ending is profound. Siddhartha reflects on his wisdom-seeking journey. There are no shortcuts in life. Wisdom can't be learned from others, but must come from personal experience, gained through fully tasting life's flavors and persistently contemplating existence. Only then can one attain eternal inner peace. All right, that concludes this week's editor's recommendation. Wishing you sweet dreams tonight. We'll meet again next week.